STEAM: science, technology, engineering, the arts, and mathematics. Today marks the launch of Women in STEAM, a nonprofit initiative founded by myself and Xandra, who will be moderating our panel today. Women in STEAM is dedicated to leveling the playing field around education and equal opportunity as we prepare for the future. We're creating a space to catalyze new ways of thinking, working, and creating. We're cultivating an ecosystem of amazing people like yourselves through ongoing programming ranging from curated conversations, advocacy, and workshop trainings. Today we'll be hearing from influential women from two of the most powerful technology organizations of our time who are already reprogramming expectations of what a technologist should look like. And thanks to the great work they and others here are doing, innovative ideas can be thought and actioned through multiple perspectives. Already at our inaugural launch, we've raised thousands and oversold tickets, which is pretty amazing and shows what a unique community we can have at the intersection of arts and sciences. Your generosity today is supporting womenofai.org, a nonprofit which is very much passionate about creating female leaders of AI. I'll be sharing a memo about their mission from Erica Lee, their founder, who's not able to be here today, but she very much expresses her gratitude for all your support. Erica wants to share her personal story and some of her organization's key milestones with you all today. Her story. She's been a woman of AI since she was 14 when she started her research on neural networks driven by a deep curiosity to understand how AI will be used. Despite her struggles with autism and lack of family support in pursuing tech over a more traditional route in medicine, she realized that how it will be used depends on the people who create and control it, and doubled down on career in AI. She founded womenofai.org after she walked into an all-hands meeting at her job at Apple in Silicon Valley, where she was the only woman along 150 men in her engineering organization. Today, womenofai.org has more than 50 partners, including Google, Amazon, Samsung Next, and NVIDIA. Their two big goals for 2020 are: one, double down on international expansion through their ambassador program with our local chapters in Nigeria, Mexico, Israel, India, and more. And two, to expand online through their software platform so people can connect globally beyond our events and benefit from our sponsor resources, including but not limited to free conference passes, technical office hours, leadership and interviewing training, and hopefully grants later on. In the first quarter of 2020, they've seen some amazing impact already. Their Nigeria ambassador, Alayide, hosted an event with 3 women of AI speaking on how she got there. Over 50 women showed up, many as young as 12 years old. Their Mexico ambassador, Heyday, hosted an event with 2 women data scientists teaching technical workshops on machine learning. Over 80 women and minorities aged 18 to 50 showed up. Most of them were from low-income families without computers or books. Erica thanks each and every one of us here today for helping make these experiences and opportunities accessible for women everywhere. If you haven't already had the chance to enjoy some of the experiences we have today, we have an amazing art AR installation by Nancy Baker Cahill. It's really awesome. I would encourage you to go check it out. We also have a wine tasting featuring wines by Elena Walsh Wines. They're beautiful. I'm going to hand over to Nadia Ishinaya, who is of Women of Tech Hollywood. And a big thank you to our sponsors, Microsoft and National Research Group. We wouldn't have been able to put this together without them. Thank you guys for being here.
I want to reiterate my thanks to the rosé provider. I did have a glass, and it added to my excitement for being here, but I think even if I hadn't had that glass of rosé, I would still be very, very excited to be here. So So 6 years ago, my co-partner and I, co-founder and I, Rachel, we created a group called Women in Tech Hollywood, which derives its membership from all the studios and all the about 120 partners, anything from Deluxe to Microsoft, actually. And we are a nonprofit, and all our events are free. All our events are free. Just wanted to reiterate that. So that's thanks to our great partners. So we have 4 events a year. Our last one was at the Skirball on Wednesday, and we had an amazing keynote, a panel, and the next event is on May 27th. So please put that in your calendars. It's going to be at the Sheraton Universal. Again, it's free. And please join us at womenintechhollywood.org, WIT Hollywood.org. And just a little bit about the organization. So we exist to empower the women in tech in Hollywood, but we actually draw a lot from not even people, women in tech, women in legal, women in finance, just women. And we have about 5 to 10% of our members are men. So we welcome anyone and everyone. And our events focus on professional development. So we don't do a lot on the technical skills because you can get that other places. So we focus on negotiation, leadership, how to influence without authority, your own personal branding, things like that. So things that we all kind of need. And then we also focus on networking. That's a crucial part of every single one of our events. We have a networking component, and we really encourage people to meet people new, even though we want to stay in our comfort zone and stay like with the friends that we know already. And the third piece is our community engagement. So we work with about 5 organizations per year that exist to increase the level of women in tech through the girls programs that we start with elementary school all the way through post-college, and even if you haven't gone to college. So those are some of the things we focus on. Before I hand it over, I wanted to just send out a challenge that as employees and leaders, we need to really focus on a few things. And the thing I would like you to think about is meaning, empathy, transcendence. And these are all the things about the A in STEAM. And I want to ask you a question. After Edison invented the light bulb, what became obsolete? Candles, right? Candles are a $2.2 billion industry in America every year. So despite wanting to, the thing of like replacing a technology, the candle, our human need for transcendence, meaning beauty, joy, is still always going to be present. So that's why that's my personal plug for the A in STEAM. Thank you very much. I'm going to hand it over to Todd.
Oh my God, it's amazing to be here today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming out. With so much going on in the world today, especially with this coronavirus and all the hysteria and all, it's beautiful to actually see have an event that actually is not canceled, right? I don't know who's here have ever been to an AILA event before. Just raise your hand. All right. Good to see you all. So my name is Todd Terrazas. I'm the executive director of the AILA community. We're a 501c3 nonprofit focusing on accelerating innovation for social good. And so the way that we go about doing this throughout the year is through a number of different types of activities, like this one, where we get to bring people together to focus on how technology is impacting different industries in society. We've been doing this for about 3 years, 2 years as a nonprofit, and the real reason why I started developing this was because after I had left a company that was trying to build everything from public safety technologies all the way to chatbots, I really wanted to develop a community around AI and AI at the time because we were developing these chatbots. And from doing it all, it was just a hobby, right, like anything. And then I started getting to realize, like, I'm pretty good at this. Bringing people together, as I call myself a nerd herder. And by doing this, you get to really exchange different types of experiences, ideas, and basically, in a nutshell, we become a think tank. And so over time, we've been doing all these different events. I think we do about 24 events in a year now. And, it's a lot of work. But luckily, we've got Felice. Felice, where are you? There you are. Felice up there, and then also Jay really helps make sure that everything's, the train gets in on time, really. And so our organization is, focusing on everything from sustainability to life sciences, the conversation around the future of work, and, talking about ethics and fairness. But in all of this, right, as we discussed earlier, as was talked about earlier, is that the best ideas come from diversity. They come from diverse teams, multidisciplinaries, and because of that, we really pride ourselves on being a very inclusive open space for everyone. Everyone become a member of AILA. We do have a paid membership model that makes you an insider, but really it's open for everybody. So our intentions are really to help save ourselves from ourselves. So everything from, again, focusing on Earth, we do an Earth Summit on April 16th, which I hope you all come out to, where we're now working with the Los Angeles City to really design data challenges that help our city become more sustainable, especially leading up to the Olympics in 2028. And then later in the year, on October, we focus on life science and healthcare. And so that's when we really bring out large health organizations to help workshop internal problems they have, using the collective minds of our community to really think differently, thinking from the outsider's perspective to see what challenges, what opportunities are there, what opportunities were always there, just, wow, see, everyone's like that. What opportunities were there that was couldn't be seen because you were so close to the problem, right? I do this every day. It's a labor of love for me. I'm on executive director of this organization, a number of other nonprofits. So basically, I've really put my life into service work. What we're about to be launching, though, in a second is on April 16th, is our Decentralized Research Institute. So things like, because of coronavirus, right, we're going to be seeing less people going to work, less people going to school, less people having amazing events like this. So to kind of focus on the future, we're developing this means so that we can actually connect data science hubs across Los Angeles County to help work on these big problems, using LA City's sustainability initiatives as our pilots run. And so if you're all interested, who here is a data scientist, data engineer? If you're really into this, you can obviously talk to me later. But I'm really just happy to be here. I'll stop talking in a second. But it's just, things like this is really amazing because we really want to see more diversity coming out to our events, be able to really help make Los Angeles more of an innovation hub for social good. And I hope you all can join us as we do this. So thanks so much. We have an amazing panel coming up, and I'd like to introduce Lauren Xandra to the stage.
Hi, everyone. I'm thrilled to introduce our panelists. We have Psalti, Head of Strategic Platforms at Google, and Maria Alvarez, who is General Manager of the Research and AI Division at Microsoft. So to kick off, if you could each briefly introduce your current role and your perspectives on why STEAM, or integrating more humanitarian perspectives into STEM, is so important.
Hi, thank you, Lauren, for the invitation. But before we start, happy Women's Day today to all of you. So I am super happy to be here and honored to participate in this panel. So I work in the Microsoft and the AI and Research Division, enabling engineers create solutions for making better products. I wanted to tell you about how STEAM and STEM are very personal to me. A long time ago, when I decided to go to college back in Valencia, Venezuela, where I am from, I wanted to be a psychologist. And my mom told me, no, hey, there is a new university that has computer science, and that is the future. So how she knew that 30 years ago, I don't know. But she was right. The uniqueness about the program was not only I had the math and programming courses, but more importantly, from the beginning, we were organized in teams in specific industries. So not only we have to do the academics, but working to solve problems, to add questions, to connect the dots, to work across multiple, a diverse team. And that's the A in STEAM. So that is, very personal. And then I think importantly, why that is so more important for AI, because AI is the computers trying to emulate human intelligent behavior. So we have to use the AI to be more human, more empathetic, and more. As we know, AI can see and hear. We have done that for a long time. We have the tape recorders and photography. But AI now is able to see more complex images and process more complex sounds. And more, humans have cognition, the ability to learn and reason. Moreover, the AI is trying to do that. An example is we're able to translate automatically today when in other languages. That is AI.
Wow, that is amazing. So thank you so much to Lauren. Thank you so much to the organizers and the sponsors. It's really, really an honor to be here. And thank you also being here. I think all of you should be in the panel. I don't think that Maria and I have the perfect answer. So we're really looking forward to a dialogue and a conversation after the panel. But to share a little bit about my story, and you see I have an accent as well, so you're getting 2 accents for the price of 1 this afternoon. I'm originally from Greece, is where I grew up, and I chose to go to computer science back then when it was not really a clear career direction towards this way, towards this area, but combined it with a business degree and an MBA, so it worked out fairly okay. And a lot of times, I think the lesson, I don't know, what I've learned from that is that it's okay to meander when you start or where you continue your career. I think a lot of people are very lucky to pick a profession when they're 20 and then they are 45 and they keep doing the same thing, and it's great. But a lot of us didn't have that, and it's okay to redefine yourself and continue to learn new things and evolve what you do and who you are. So that's kind of like, a premise of how I lived so far. So it's not a straight line. Specifically for STEM, what I do, I work for Google, and I'm head of the strategic platforms, which can be like, a lot of different things. The gist is basically I work with a lot of enterprise customers across the Americas, so US, Canada, and Latin America, helping them to transform the way they do business. And it's not only through how they change the technology that they have, but it's also the cultural transformation. What does it mean to have a digital-ready enterprise, and how to serve your customers in the best way? I work a lot with our AI team. I'm not in the research team, but every product that we have basically is infused with AI, and it's infused with the great engineers that we have. And to be honest, the one thing that I'm wishing, and that's why I'm very passionate to be here and talk about this now and in many other cases, is that we need more women in this space, especially in the T. I know a lot of people talked about the A, which is absolutely critical, but the T is where we don't have a lot of women. And this is how we end up with situations with bias in AI and with not the right results. So we have to make sure that not only we are encouraging our friends and the next generation to join the T part of STEM, but also to encourage them to stay. Because what another challenge that I see in my day-to-day job, and people from my team, from my immediate team, although they do have the credentials, the academic credentials, they pick or they choose to take a more generic role. And I think we need to keep them and engaged and to keep them in the team so that they can drive that change. Anyway, that was a long-winded way. I apologize.
No apologies necessary. Let's stay with that T that that you reference, well, a surprising number of today's students are going to end up in roles that don't yet exist. And the vast majority of these are tied to technology and furthering that, but of course rely on skills like creativity and critical thinking, ingenuity. You both are in roles that didn't quite exist when you were growing up. And we heard a little bit about your background to get there, but it would be great if you can both speak to any key mentors or milestones along the way.
Okay, great. So I will tell you a little bit of several defining moments and what the lesson was and how I got into AI. So I came here 30 years ago because I knew all my textbooks were in English when I went to college. So I knew that I needed to know English. So I got a fellowship to go to Canada. And I stopped in LA to learn English. Well, it happened to be that I was good in math, but not in English. So I didn't pass the test to go into the graduate school. So what I did was I learned how to code back in my undergraduate in Venezuela. So I went to Cal State LA and I told them, I know how to code. I will develop the new system for all the new students and all the scores in exchange of free tuition because I didn't have money. And to my surprise, they accepted my offer. And I was able to study for a year English. And then later on, to go to Cal Poly Pomona and then get my master's in computer science. Lesson number 1, never give up. Number 2, I was able to go through different companies as a development manager, director. After 11 years doing that, I made a very intentional decision. I actually applied to a company that you all know, believe it or not, was in Pasadena, called Yahoo. So believe it or not, search advertising was invented in Pasadena in the company called Idea Lab. It was Overture. Yahoo bought that company, and we were in the process of creating the new system for search advertising to compete with Google because they actually made the system even better. So I went and I took a chief of staff role, very different, where I was managing the end-to-end on a huge technology organization. 2 things happened there. I had a great mentor, a great leader that showed me how search and ads worked. That is in how they use AI and how you become a leader to manage, large engineer organizations. So, second learning, take risks. Have curiosity to do something that you don't know if it's going to play out. And then the last one is I went to Spain, as a CTO, and then it was, a great opportunity to take a risk and then go to another country to do my career. Coming back, I was able to join Microsoft 8.5 years ago. I live in LA. I work in Seattle. I commute every week, and then and I work in the AI business. And then I've seen a transformation in the company in these 8.5 years on diversity inclusion. I'm super proud of the culture that we have, all the programs that we have, not only to develop women, but also underrepresented groups, and then bring people to do AI. And other, and bridge the gap on the technology side, not necessarily going to, formal trainings, but, other type of trainings.
That's great. I had a very different path. I did start with a computer science side, but I didn't want to be a developer per se. So I had to find a way to use what I spent 4 years on, but to make money. So I kind of reinvented myself as more of a business technologist, advising enterprise companies of how they can change the way they do business. And I was able, and this is what I currently do as well, I was able to connect the wants and needs and the priorities that a business person has and connect that with the technology side. The one thing that I kind of went back and forth is working in large and smaller companies, which I think you develop different muscles. And I think it's always taking a risk when you go from a safe environment in a larger corporation and going into a startup or a nonprofit or a smaller company. You develop a different set of muscles. You become more scrappy. You become, I would say, a little bit more creative day to day because you have to deliver with less resources, but with similar expectations. So a lot of times, I think taking risks is absolutely key, and it does pay off. And the other thing I think is to be surrounded by individuals that believe in you and they're positive. A lot of times we are working and we are around people that, they might not really want the best out of you. So it's really, really key, whether it's your family, your friends, the co-workers, a former manager, a former professor or whatever, to just keep them close and keep them engaged. And I think this evergreen relationships really work out at the end.
We heard a little bit about how your experience also touches on emerging areas like AI and the convergence of developments across AI, 5G, automation will vastly affect and change the society that we live in. And if we apply these to solving big problems that are very relevant now, like disease or tackling climate change, can be very, very positive. But we're experiencing, too, a huge shift in the skills needed to thrive in this new world. Eve, it'd be great to start with you. What do you think are key ways that this technology can affect learning and training for the better?
No, that's a great question. And the reason why I'm connected on the education space is not that I'm in the industry per se, but my last role when I was in another company, I was involved in the education industry and ed tech in specific. So the one thing that we see more and more is like STEM permeating that space and really creating net new opportunities for students to learn better. And to have like a more personalized approach to how they learn, whether they have difficulties or whether they learn in different ways. Also, it creates a lot of tools for educators to approach teaching in a different way. I think a lot of times it's very intuitive, and I think having the AI and the machine learning tools with predictive analytics, now we can get ahead of an issue. So an educator can really see in the class that they manage or that they have, which are the students that might be prone to not graduate or to fail that class or to fail that specific task, and engage them in a way that whether it's through the institution or through family, the broader community, course correct that so that we can get more equity in the space. And we have done this. One of the projects that I was involved in the last role that I had at Microsoft was working with a school district in Tacoma, Washington, which is outside of Seattle, and we were able to change the graduation rates for that school from 55 to 85 in 5 years, and that's really key. So I think it provides a lot of opportunities for educators to be better at what they do, to be more productive as well, because we see the integration of ML and AI into assessment. So how they can start really assessing students in a higher level and also more effectively. And also it helps administrators, so that really helps students across the board do well and graduate.
Great. So let's go deeper with this idea of designing better programs that are more effective. Maria, if you were to design a program to prepare people for your job now or the job that they're creating or even displacing, what would that look like?
Yeah, so some of the new jobs that you can think of is like IoT data analysts or a trainer for autonomous cars, visual space designers, and you name it. AI is creating so many jobs. So if we get to define a program, not a traditional program through universities, which they are transforming as well, the key here is the learning about multiple disciplinary fields. So it is important to collaborate, to have designers, to have user researchers, to have program manager, devs, the data analysts, people that also are experts in privacy and certain things, to really create solutions for the new era. Specifically, if you are looking into changing careers and in AI is fascinating to you, we actually have one of the best AI schools. Microsoft does that. So I will tell you, Bing it, not Google it. So you can do Microsoft AI school, and then you will find things there for newbies or for experts, whatever you are. You have beginner, intermediate, and then they have areas in conversational AI and how you can do bots that speak and hear. AI services for face APIs, speech, and you can add that to your websites. You can learn about machine learning and creating the models to predict. You can learn about autonomous systems. And, one area that is deep to my heart is to create systems responsibly. How do you create responsible AI systems and the ethics of that? And why this is important? I'll tell you. Data is pretty compelling, and I wanted to tell you this. For example, by this year, the number of jobs in all U.S. data professionals will increase by 364,000 openings to make it 2.7 million, according to IBM. This is the future. Data is the fuel for the future, for AI. Science and engineering jobs earn more than double the income median jobs in the United States. And now, there are jobs, so people worry about the displacing of jobs. But there are jobs that won't be impacted by AI. You know which they are? You know? Where we will move more to automation, the social interaction, the workers, the social workers, the teachers. The role of the teacher is key here. The therapists, they will exist. And then for teachers specifically, it's extremely important that they use AI to teach for the future. And then as Eve was noting, for students, AI is creating wonderful things with people with disabilities. We have so many people with disabilities, so we have programs that for seeing AI that help a blind person to describe everything that is happening here. So a lot of things with jobs and new programs, but also there are jobs that are here to stay.
So thinking about responsible AI and ethics, these are areas that machines are, of course, very far from being able to replicate or replace. It'd be great to hear from you both about what you see as the most important societal issues to address and how those require interdisciplinary perspectives.
Great. So we talked about the number one issue that the society is worrying is the elimination of jobs. I do believe that jobs will be eliminated, but new ones will be created. And we talked a little bit about that. There are others that we need to think about. As we empowering more computers and machines to take decisions that before were made by humans, we need to think about certain questions. And one of them is, how do we ensure that the AI system is not biased? That, and everything in AI starts with data. the training of data, and how do we ensure that we're representing the entire world and not specific areas? How we ensure that we don't deny a loan or a service to a certain population? You probably have heard about Amazon. Amazon created a system. The intent was fantastic. They wanted a system to, they submit, thousands of resumes, and then they could spit out the top 5 candidates. What was the result? Women and underrepresented groups were affected by it. Why? Because the training was for all the resumes that Amazon had for the last 15 years. Who were they? All men, and mainly white. So then they, of course, didn't use that system. So we have to ensure that's a problem. And then we need to ensure that. The other one is that the system is safe. That how we ensure that then, the car doesn't go and goes to the, a road that doesn't exist, and then that, we are able to diagnose, patients with the right diagnosis. So ensuring the security and the function of those systems. And the other one is explanation. Humans like explanations. You want to know why. Why did you make that decision? And the human will tell you. In some cases, the machine makes these decisions, and it's a black box that nobody knows. So we need to ensure that we provide explainability to those systems.
And just to take a step back and just so for all of us to have a similar understanding of how AI actually works at a very, very baseline level is 3 things, right? You need to have a lot of information, a lot of data, and it needs to be representative across all the different samples that you need to kind of have the input for. You need the computational power, and this is why we see a lot of the, rapid changing now, because with computer, with quantum computing and, with mega computers, we can actually process millions and billions and, of data. And also you need the right algorithm. So I think we need to be very mindful of how we build the 2 tail ends. The compute power is great. And, it doesn't really add, any kind of anything in the fairness or the ethics of things. But we need to make sure that the data samples, are the right ones, and they represent all the parties that we have. And also the algorithm don't have the bias in how we build that. And I do agree with Maria that, yes, we're going to see some of the lower level jobs maybe going away in the next 20, 25 years. But the reality is that the velocity of the new jobs that are coming into market will overshadow this. And these are going to be better jobs, more intelligent jobs, highly skilled, highly valued jobs that are going to pay more. And so the conversation going back into STEAM is that this is not an option. You can't say, I'm not good in math, or I don't have an inclination in science, or computer science is not for me. This is like learning a language. If you don't have the computational thinking as a baseline skill, you will not find a job. This is the reality. This is not an optional thing. This is not a career path. It's an evergreen baseline ingredient that all of us need to have. Because the more you see the proliferation of robotics, of AI, of machine learning, you're going to need someone with 21st century skills, with leadership skills, with problem solving skills, with collaboration and communication skills to really make this work. Because this is not an independent technology that will take over, right? Someone needs to put it in a plan, in a business, in an enterprise, and create an end goal, create the accountability, collaborate with others on partnerships. And these are great opportunities for all of us. That's my PSA, yeah.
Well, before we wrap for audience Q&A, I'd love to touch on the theme of today's Women's Day, which is an equal world is an enabled world. What are the 2 of you doing both in your personal involvement and also at an organizational level? What are Microsoft and Google doing to help further women in STEAM?
Great, thank you. I personally, I am very passionate about this. I was the only one for so many years. So I am making my mission to pave the way for the next generation of women to be part of the tech world, and be leaders. I personally, I have developed several scholarships for women and for underrepresented groups in 2 universities, local here in Cal Poly and Woodbury University, to help people to go into STEM or STEAM. As well, and then just doing a lot of, mentoring, conferences and, helping other women. As far as Microsoft, and Google as well, and all these tech companies, I mean, we have a lot of programs to help educate and to bring more people into the company, into tech. Because believe it or not, the United States does not produce enough qualified talent for us. So we have to go all over the world to hire. So it's important we have programs for women. We have programs for people from the military that want to change jobs after they come from serving. We have programs for people that are mechanical engineers or space engineers or teachers or whatever. And we do boot camps, and they are, like apprenticeships for them. We also are going to, city colleges. In some cases, we are not even requiring a bachelor of science or, in computer science to get. We are able to train you. So a lot of programs to bring people, because this is the numbers and everything that is happening. This is the future. This is the jobs are going to be in technology, and we need everyone that we can. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, similar on the Google side. If you have a startup, please come and